There's something profound about a man who doesn't chase, something magnetic about silence that speaks louder than desperate words. You've been told that attraction requires effort, that love demands pursuit, that attention must be earned through performance. But the ancient Stoics knew a different truth. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, understood that true influence comes not from what you say, but from what you withhold. Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become one of history's greatest teachers, discovered that freedom isn't given, it's taken through discipline. Seneca, advisor to emperors, learned that respect is never demanded. It's commanded through character. Tonight we're going to explore something revolutionary, something that will change how you move through the world, how you handle relationships, and how you command respect without saying a word. We're going to discover how to make people miss you badly, not through manipulation. It's not through games, but through the ancient art of Stoic self-mastery. When you embrace these principles, you don't just become attractive, you become irreplaceable. You don't just gain attention, you earn reverence. And when people lose you, they don't just feel regret, they feel the weight of their own poor choices. The first transformation begins with understanding detachment after disrespect. Most men react immediately when they're disrespected. They argue, they defend, they justify. But a Stoic man does something far more powerful. He withdraws his energy entirely. When someone treats you poorly, your instinct is to fight back, to prove your worth, to make them see your value. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Your silence after disrespect carries more weight than any argument ever could. Think about it this way. When you remove your presence from someone who has disrespected you, you create a vacuum. You suddenly realize what they had, what they lost, and what they took for granted. You don't have to announce your departure. You don't have to explain your absence. You simply become unavailable to those who don't value your availability. This isn't about being petty or vindictive. This is about respecting yourself enough to walk away from situations that don't serve your highest good. The second principle is choosing purpose over obsession. When you're deeply invested in your own mission, your own growth, your own journey, you naturally become less available to others, and that unavailability creates mystery. People begin to wonder what you're doing, who you're becoming, what drives you. Seneca understood this when he said, "The willing, destiny guides them. The unwilling, destiny drags them." When you're driven by purpose rather than pulled by desperation, you move with a different energy. You speak with different authority. You command different respect. A man with purpose doesn't have time for games. He doesn't have energy for drama. He doesn't have patience for people who aren't adding value to his life. And when others sense this focus, this dedication, this unwavering commitment to something greater than temporary pleasures, they're drawn to it. They want to be part of it. They want to understand it. They want to be close to someone who knows where he's going and why he's going there. The third transformation is mastering calm silence after being hurt. When someone wounds you, your natural response is to wound back, to lash out, to make them feel what you feel. But the Stoic way teaches us something more powerful, the strength of silence. Epictetus, who knew profound suffering, taught that no one can hurt you without your permission. When you respond to hurt with calm, measured silence, you demonstrate a level of emotional mastery that most people have never encountered. This silence isn't passive. It's not weakness. It's the most active form of strength to contain your emotions, to process your pain privately, and to respond from a place of wisdom rather than wound. When you master this, people don't just respect you. They're in awe of you. They've never seen someone handle pain with such grace, such dignity, such quiet power. And they begin to realize that losing someone with that level of emotional control is a loss they'll carry forever. The fourth principle is developing emotional discipline over outbursts. Most relationships are destroyed not by big betrayals, but by small explosions, by reactions that are bigger than the situations that caused them, by words spoken in anger that can never be taken back. The Stoic man understands that his emotional state is his responsibility, not his burden. When you stop reacting to every provocation, every slight, every frustration, You become unpredictable in the best way possible. People become accustomed to your reactions. They learn to push your buttons because they know exactly what will happen. But when you develop emotional discipline, when you choose your responses instead of being controlled by your impulses, you become mysterious. They can't figure you out. They can't manipulate you, can't control you. That independence, that self-possession, that emotional sovereignty is incredibly attractive. The fifth transformation is understanding the mystery of walking away. There's tremendous power in knowing when to leave. Not in anger, not in frustration, not with threats or ultimatums, but with quiet dignity. When you can walk away from situations that don't serve you, from people who don't value you, from environments that don't elevate you. You demonstrate a level of self-respect that most people never achieve. Walking away isn't about pride. It's about standards. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to accept less than you deserve. It's about understanding that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. And when you can withdraw that gift without drama, without explanation, without begging for understanding, you create a profound impact. People suddenly realize what they had, what they lost, and what they'll never find again. The sixth principle is raising your value in solitude. Modern world teaches us to fear being alone, to fill every moment with noise, connection, distraction. But the Stoic man embraces solitude as his greatest teacher. In solitude, you develop your mind. You strengthen your character. You clarify your vision. You become the kind of person others want to be around. When you're comfortable in your own company, when you enjoy your own thoughts, when you can sit in silence without anxiety, you radiate a different kind of confidence. People sense that you don't need them, you choose them. There's a profound difference between someone who's with you because they have to be and someone who's with you because they want to be. When you raise your value in solitude, you attract people who appreciate quality over quantity, depth over distraction. The seventh transformation is not reacting to games. Games are played by people who don't know how to communicate directly. They test, they manipulate, they create drama to get attention. The Stoic man doesn't play games because he doesn't have to. He states his position clearly, acts with integrity, and lets his actions speak for themselves. When you stop reacting to games, you stop feeding the very behavior that destroys relationships. Asterisk. Most people are conditioned to respond to games with more games. But when you respond to games with calm indifference, with steady consistency, with unwavering authenticity, you break the cycle. You show them a different way of being. You demonstrate that meaningful connection doesn't require manipulation. That real attraction doesn't need artificial drama. The eighth principle is living with dignity and inner peace. Dignity isn't something you demand. It's something you embody. Inner peace isn't something you seek. It's something you cultivate. When you live with dignity, when you move through the world with inner peace, you become a rare person. You become someone others want to be around, want to learn from, want to protect. Marcus Aurelius wrote. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When your thoughts are disciplined, when your mind is at peace, when your heart is calm, you create an environment that others find irresistible. You become a safe harbor in a world of storms. You become a source of stability in a world of chaos. The ninth transformation is developing a magnetic lifestyle. This isn't about showing off or performing for others. This is about creating a life so rich, so fulfilling, so meaningful, that others naturally want to be part of it. When you have interesting hobbies, when you're constantly learning, when you're passionate about your work, when you're committed to your growth, become magnetic. Not because you're trying to attract people, because you're genuinely attractive. A magnetic lifestyle is built on authenticity, not image. It's built on substance, not style. It's built on character, not charisma. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, when you pursue excellence in everything you do, when you live with purpose and passion, you don't have to chase anyone. They'll chase you. The 10th principle is becoming irreplaceable through restraint. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the person who speaks less commands more attention. In a world where everyone is trying to be seen, the person who remains mysterious becomes more intriguing. In a world where everyone is available, the person who's selective with their time becomes more valuable. Restraint isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing quality over quantity. It's about understanding that your attention, your energy, your presence are valuable resources that should be invested wisely. When you exercise restraint, when you're selective about who gets access to you, you naturally become more sought after. The 11th transformation is speaking less and doing more. Words are cheap, promises are easy, but actions reveal character. Stoic man doesn't need to announce his intentions, explain his motivations, or justify his decisions. Simply acts with integrity and lets his actions create his reputation. When you speak less and do more, you become a person of substance rather than style. People are tired of empty words or hungry for authentic action. When you consistently do what you say you'll do, when you follow through on your commitments, when you let your actions speak louder than your words, you build a reputation that precedes you. You become someone others trust, respect, and want to keep in their lives. The 12th principle is mastering the art of absence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes the most effective communication is silence. Sometimes the best way to be remembered is to be gone. When you master the art of absence, you understand that your presence becomes more valuable when it's not always available. This isn't about playing hard to get or being manipulative.
Yes.
This is about having a life so full, so rich, so meaningful that you're not always available to others. When you have your own interests, your own goals, your own commitments, you naturally become less available, and that scarcity creates value. The 13th transformation is letting them feel the emptiness of your presence. When you've been a constant source of energy, attention, and support in someone's life, your absence creates a void. They suddenly realize how much space you occupied, how much value you added, how much they took for granted. This isn't about being vindictive or punishing. This is about allowing natural consequences to teach natural lessons. When you stop being the one who always reaches out, always makes plans, always initiates contact, you allow others to experience what life is. Like without your consistent presence, some people will step up and match your energy. Others will reveal that they were only taking, never giving. Either way, you learn who deserves your investment and who doesn't. The 14th principle is developing unshakable self-worth. Value doesn't come from how others treat you. Your worth isn't determined by who wants you or who doesn't. Your significance isn't measured by external validation. When you develop unshakable self-worth, you become independent of others' opinions, free from their approval, and immune to their rejection. This inner strength, this self-possession, this emotional independence is profoundly attractive. You know who you are when you're comfortable with your own company. When you don't need others to complete you, you become the kind of person others want to be around. You become someone who adds value rather than seeking it. The final transformation is understanding that some people only appreciate what they've lost. You can't make someone value you while they have you. You can't force someone to see your worth while you're proving it. Sometimes the only way people learn to appreciate something is by losing it. And when you understand this, you stop trying to convince people of your value and start demonstrating it through your absence. Seneca wrote, "What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do." The thing you fear most walking away from someone who doesn't value you might be exactly what you need to do. Not because you want to hurt them, but because you want to honor yourself. Not because you want to play games, but because you want to live with integrity. When you embrace these Stoic principles, something profound happens. You don't just become attractive, you become irreplaceable. You don't just gain attention, you command respect. You don't just make people miss you, you make them regret ever taking you for granted. And that's when you realize the true power of Stoic philosophy. It doesn't just change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. The greatest revenge against those who've wronged you isn't anger or retaliation. It's becoming so successful, so fulfilled, so at peace with yourself that their absence becomes irrelevant. It's reaching a point where their validation becomes unnecessary, their approval becomes meaningless, their presence becomes optional. This is the way of the Stoic man. This is the path of true strength. This is how you make them miss you badly, not through manipulation, or games, but through the quiet dignity of self-mastery. When you elevate yourself, when you embrace silence with strength, when you choose purpose over obsession, people don't just miss you, they regret ever losing you. And that regret, that recognition, that realization of what they had and what they lost, that's the true power of Stoic philosophy.